What's up, everybody? It's Ryan with the Horror Chronicles podcast with you again with my co-host, JT.
What's up, everybody?
Breezy.
Hey.
And we got another special guest in the house. Bradley Wells is here.
That dude right there.
The other new member of the Horror Chronicles podcast. And tonight, guys, we have a special edition for you. We are going to be doing an interview with a author of some pretty cool books that we're going to dig kind of into. We're thinking about trying to get him on here for a couple other episodes. We'll see what happens. But but anyways, we are with D.A. Roberts. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well. Thank you guys for having me on tonight.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for reaching out to us.
Yeah, we've been really trying to get some people on here. You know, authors, producers, directors, anybody actually. But it was really cool once we seen your selection of books. I was like, oh man, this is going to be
for sure.
an awesome episode. So we'll start off with what got you into kind of writing these type of books?
Well, I've been into horror since I was a kid. I grew up, I was born in the early 70s, in 1970 actually.
Nice.
I grew up on shows like I'm drawing a blank. Darren McGavin, the Kolchak the Night Stalker.
Oh, hell yeah.
Nice.
Awesome.
I grew up watching, the old Tales of Terror, Friday night horror films. My mother was big into horror. I think one of the earliest movies I remember watching with my mom was the Amityville Horror, and it scared the crap out of me.
I love that movie.
Instantly, that house is up for sale. I need to buy that and turn it into a bed and breakfast.
Yeah, if you've got a cool $1 million, you can pick it up.
Yeah, but it'd make a hell of a bed and breakfast.
It would.
They did it with the Lizzie Borden house. Why not without it?
Make it back.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just not sleeping in the basement, not doing it.
Yeah.
But I've been a lifelong horror fan. I grew up watching everything scary I could find. I was an avid reader, and I knew from an early age that I wanted to write. And I've been writing since I was young, but it wasn't until 2012 that I had any major publications succeed.
Nice.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, so I just wanted to get into a little bit of your background. I'm going to bring this up early. So I read through your bio, and I know you're into law enforcement.
Yeah, I've been in law enforcement in one aspect or another for about the better part of the last 20 years. I've been a corrections officer, deputy sheriff, patrol officer. I've worked private security. Most recently, I was the head of an overnight security detail for a large hospital in the area. So I've kind of been there, done that on a lot of stuff. I'm still a commissioned deputy.
Nice. Are you working for somebody at this point, or?
At the moment, no. I'm kind of off duty. Well, I'm still reserve patrolman with the Walnut Grove Police Department, but I'm off right now pending a results of a back surgery. I hurt my back a few months back, and I've been not really doing much but writing.
I'm sorry.
Getting around's a little tough. Yeah. We'll get through it.
Yeah. So, and where are you from?
I'm from Springfield, Missouri.
Springfield, Missouri. Yeah, you're not too far from us.
Where y'all at?
We're in Rolla.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's not far from me. I grew up in Lebanon.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
And when I was in the Army, I was stationed at Fort Leonard Wood, so I know.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you know exactly where we're at.
My old stomping grounds.
Yeah.
Sweet. So I got to ask you, you've been in law enforcement and stuff. Have you ever seen anything paranormal-wise or supernatural-wise?
I had something scream at me one night. Never knew what it was, never saw it, but it was loud, and it didn't sound like any animal I'd ever heard. And then one night in Walnut Grove, I was patrolling, and I was working overnights, and it was late, and I decided to just pull over and knock out a couple of reports on the computer. And I realized that I'd stopped right next to a little graveyard that'd been there since the early 1800s.
Wow.
And I looked out, and there was fog rising in the park, the graveyard, and I went, "Oh, look at the time! Look at
the time!"
That's awesome, though.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds like you're writing another book right now.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. There's a lot of creepy stuff in Missouri. People don't realize. I mean, you guys had an Ozarks howler sighting right there outside Rolla.
Oh yeah.
Momo the Monster up in Louisiana, Missouri. There's a lot of creepy stuff in the Ozarks.
There really is, and a lot of people don't talk about it either. You find little snippets of it on the internet,
Well, the beautiful thing is about Missouri is you got so many people that still have that close-knit community feeling. If you don't know a lot of the people that are the hill folks, the hillbillies, my family's all hillbillies from Lebanon. Yeah,
Nice.
They don't tell you those stories. If you don't know them, they won't tell you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
We got
For
our
sure.
very own hillbilly right over here, Mr. Bradley Well.
I'm right there with you, brother. 100% Ozark hillbilly.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm a city slicker. I grew up in St. Louis. Yeah, I'm sorry.
We'll try not to hold that against you.
But hey, I've been here for about 15 years and I'm getting used to the culture.
Okay, so you're an absorbed hillbilly.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, actually, I'm going to ask you. I've already kind of did ask you or put it on to you whenever in the intro. Kind of want to get you on maybe a couple other episodes. And
hey, I'm game.
Since you're into the paranormal and supernatural stuff like that, we literally love having people on here talking about that and whatnot. So
For sure.
As my buddy Kerry would say, I'm down like 4 flat tires.
Nice.
There you go. Sweet. Yeah, because, we may not get into everything tonight, so we might as well try to set something up. And it may not be next weekend, but we're going to.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Hey, October's the
Future
month.
episodes.
Yeah,
There you go.
definitely. So we just want to hear a little bit of background about you. You already talked about how you got into writing and stuff, but I'm going to be honest with you. Looking through your stuff, what I really got into was the apex predator stuff. All about werewolves and stuff like that, and Detective Gray Eagle really impressed me. How did you get your inspiration for that kind of stuff?
Well, I've got an uncle who was an uncle by marriage. He was full-blood Cherokee, and he used to tell me a lot of stories. And really, I learned a lot about Native American lore from him.
Okay.
He passed away just last year, and he's actually the inspiration for Jay Matoska in the Apex Predator series.
Okay.
It's based on my uncle. He was just a hell of a man. I learned a lot from him, and not all of it was about horror. A lot of it was just about being a man.
Right.
Just a hell
That's
of a
awesome.
guy, like a second dad. I took it pretty hard when he passed away, but I won't go into that. That's another story entirely. But he's the one that really inspired a deep, abiding respect for Native American lore. There's so much there. For example, just an easy reference is Bigfoot. Every tribe in North America has a name for Bigfoot, and we're talking tribes that had no contact with each other, like East and West Coast tribes. They're describing the same creature, even though they're using different names. So there's really more fact behind Native American lore than people give it credit.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We've actually touched on some of that in some of our episodes about the Windigo and different aspects of, Native American lore,
Yeah, I love the whole werewolf lore, everything into it. I was.
Now, not everything he does is werewolf.
Oh, yeah. I know, but we're talking about this right now.
I got into the series. Honestly, I read through the first 3 chapters of the Wolf Moon book and am absolutely fascinated by it. I want to get the book so I can read the rest of it.
Well, I when I set out to do the Apex Predator series, I wanted to do a werewolf story. And if you've read any of my books at all, you'll know I don't really do typical stories. I like to blend lore. I like to blend legends in with these stories. And I wanted to do something that was not just your typical guy rips his shirt off, turns into a werewolf, goes around eating people story. I wanted something that had more grounding in history to it.
He wasn't looking for some Taylor Lautner stuff.
No, don't mention that on here again.
I've never done a vampire story, although a friend of mine's kind of urging me to do. But I can promise you one thing: if I do a vampire story, they will not sparkle. These
Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
These are going to be monsters. That's what they're
Yes.
for.
Yes.
Make it more along the line of Blade instead of Twilight.
Yeah, more likely to tear their head off than throw glitter in the air and go.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I wanted to do a Native American twist on the werewolf story, so I started doing more research, and I looked at skinwalkers, and then I found I'd already known about the Dogman, but I started seeing more Native American lore on the Dogman, and I thought, well, what if I kind of blended some of these together? And as the series evolved, I started bringing in more and more of the werewolf legend. It's kind of blending into different aspects of the same thing. Oops, hit my mic. And then I started, also Native American legends is the legends of the dog soldiers. These dog soldiers were almost unstoppable, the Hotametaneo. And they were just amazing. And I started thinking, well, what if their magic just didn't end at them being great fighters? What if under extreme duress they could change? And that's where that came in, and that's where Apex Predator grew.
Right,
Awesome.
right. One of the things that I read through was you were talking about how when you first started when you first started writing this Apex Predator series, you had a different idea of how it was going to go, and as it evolved, it changed. The way the books ended up completely changed.
I found that I write very character-driven stories, and sometimes what the characters end up doing astounds even me. I mean, sometimes, for example, there's one character named Margolin in my Codename Wild Hunt series. Half the time, I'm even astounded about the crap that comes out of that guy's mouth. I don't know what he's going to say next. It's the characters just I have the characters so developed in my head. They have their own distinct personalities, and sometimes they shape the story. When I'm thinking of what the character would do, how they would react, they take me in different directions than I didn't really anticipate. And I found that the stories really kind of evolve themselves, and it's a really organic process. It's a lot of fun. As a lot of instances, I've even went, whoa, I didn't see that coming. It's a fun process.
That's awesome. That reminds me of The Shining. All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy.
Well, and like you kind of said, that's what makes it makes the stories more interesting and draws people in more. Because if the writer, like you, and if you're drawn into it as much as you don't even know what you're writing, it kind of just flows out of you.
Right. We're going to be drawn.
Yeah.
The audience is going to be more drawn for sure.
My writing process has always been half dream anyway, because I will relax and I will envision the story in my head, and I will plot scenes out in advance, and then I just sit down and write down what I blocked out in my head. And then when you start adding in dialogue and characters, it just gets crazy. I mean, it's there's probably a psychologist term paper there somewhere.
Yeah. But like I said, and that's what makes them interesting. And that's what draws in the people, and that's what, makes people come back for more.
Exactly.
So with you have different genres, so to speak, not genres, but different types of horror that you write. I'm interested. I haven't looked at it yet, but I'm interested in the Ragnarok series.
The Ragnarok Rising Saga. That was actually my first series. It's a 10-book series. I wanted to do a zombie story. It actually started out one night.
Yes.
Me and several buddies of mine, officers, were sitting around having coffee. And one of my friends, he goes, how would we react if zombies hit Springfield? And we're like, whatever. He goes,
yeah.
He's like, what would we do? How would we react as a department if zombies hit Springfield? So we started looking at our own emergency management plans for like riots and floods and crap like that. Decided what we would do, how we would modify the emergency management plans. And we decided we'd probably get overwhelmed pretty quick because we're a big department. But after that conversation with us four idiots sitting around having coffee, when I was driving home at the end of my shift, it was an overnight shift. I was driving home around 7 the next morning, and I was looking at buildings going, could we defend that? And it just got me to thinking. I went home and couldn't sleep, and I sat down and I started writing out notes, and that's what became the Ragnarok Rising Saga. But as I wanted to do a zombie story, again, my thing, I wanted to do something different. Every version of the zombie apocalypse is out there. You've got the Walking Dead type zombies where it's a virus and nobody knows what it is. You've got radiation from space from that from an 80s movie. I can't remember what it was called. It was Night of the Comet. That was it.
Night of the Comet.
Movie.
Yeah, good.
That was a good movie. Really cheesy.
Return of the Living Dead, where they released the military chemical.
Exactly. Government experiment gone bad.
Right.
I wanted to do something that was uniquely my own. So I wanted to blend elements of some sort of mythology. And I've always been fascinated by Norse mythology. So when I started digging deeper into Norse mythology, I found that the Norse take the undead very seriously. They've got about 20 different types of undead in their cosmology. They believe that there are different types of undead that will come back. And one's called the Draugr, and they're very much like zombies, like the George Romero type zombies. And when I started looking at that and reading about Ragnarok, it said Loki would lead an army of dead against the world of men from hell, which Hel, one L in Norse mythology.
Right.
But I thought Loki leading an army of the dead, that's that's a zombie attack right there.
Oh,
Yeah, for sure.
Also reading that Ragnarok was a cycle that changed each time, I thought, well, if it's happened before and it's about to happen again, what if it happens differently this time? What if the zombies come first? And that's Ragnarok Rising.
Oh,
Nice,
sweet.
nice.
See, now I got a
And
question real quick.
There's 10 books in that series?
Yes, there's a 10-book series.
Oh, okay.
Is that by chance audio? Do you have anything on audio?
I've got the first one of the series out. Then we had some issues with the narrator, and I'm working with another narrator right now. We're going to try to get all of them back out on audio.
That's it. Ryan's going to be your narrator.
After he learns to read.
The Ragnarok books take place all here in the Ozarks.
Oh, man, see.
Yeah.
Most of my
and
books
that's
do.
what was cool about the other series that I was reading, when I was reading through Wolf Moon. I noticed you had a lot of reference to Springfield and Lebanon and stuff like that.
I grew up here in the Ozarks. I deer hunted these woods. I grew up fishing the rivers around here. And I've having lived on a farm and hunted and fished this whole area all over Southwest Missouri, I have a deep love of the Ozarks. And I wanted to do something that kind of showed that kind of brought these places that I've been and showcased them and kind of share the Ozarks with the world, because it's just not everybody thinks of the Ozarks. Most of the big cities think of us as a flyover state.
Yeah.
But much like Stephen King did in Maine, he showcases Maine. I wanted to do that in the Ozarks.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah,
So
sure.
the entirety of the Ragnarok series takes place. Well, it starts in Springfield, winds up near Lebanon, goes up near Lake of the Ozarks, goes up through St. Louis, back down through Rolla, ends up at Fort Leonard Wood, then back.
Oh, see, man, now
it
you're
ends
going to
in
have
Springfield.
to. You're going to have to make sure you get that out on audio, because, I drive for, all day long in my job, so I can listen to that all day. I really want to get into this, man, because
Well, the first one is available right now on audio.
That's
The
right
rest
up
of them
my
are hopefully
alley.
to follow.
I love zombie films. I'm a big zombie head. So that's right up my alley. And being as local and everything, I thought about the same thing when you're talking about zombies, what they happen here. I've been thinking that since I was a kid. So
I introduced more than just one type of zombie. You don't just get the George Romero slow zombies. There's fast ones. There's specialized ones, and they were just, to me, they were natural progressions.
awesome.
I introduced in later, I believe it's in the fourth book, a type of zombie I called the Stalker. And when a friend of mine who was a cop read that for the first time, he called me at 2:00 in the morning cussing me out because he got freaked out so bad. He got his gun out and cleared his house.
Nice.
I'm like, all right, that's exactly what I wanted to hear.
Yeah,
That's the
hell yeah.
reaction we wanted.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
I'm super excited about that. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah,
can't wait.
definitely. I want to read through that series.
I'm so glad that you got a hold of us, because, I don't read much because I am from Missouri Hills. So,
Come on now.
but no, I love that stuff, and that just sounds just sweet.
awesome.
Yeah.
Up our
Yeah.
alley for sure.
By the way, how did you find out about us?
I just did a search on Amazon. Not on Amazon, I'm sorry, on Facebook for horror podcasts, and came across your name, thought I'd send you a message.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice. We're glad you did.
Yeah, because I'm super stoked about this. I cannot wait to start getting into this.
Have
I
you
think it's
actually
awesome that you guys
listened-
are here in Missouri, too.
Yeah.
Have you actually
neighbors.
listened to our show though?
I've listened to a couple of them.
Okay. So we're a little out there. We're a little foul mouthed.
Sometimes.
I was wondering which one of us was going to break the F barrier.
Hey, I am very surprised I have not used that word yet.
Not yet.
I've actually bit my lip a couple of times.
Yeah. No, you don't have to on this show. You can let her
Be
fly.
yourself.
What I
It
figured
depends
is,
on whether or not I switch from the coffee to the scotch I've got over there.
Well, I'm drinking some Jack Daniels, so
Well, I've got a 12-year-old Dalmore in my decanter over there, so I'm
nice.
yeah, I
Nice.
figure with this episode, we would kind of introduce you, and that way people get to know you, and then later on you come on and we can just get as vulgar as you want.
Yeah, well, really, honestly, we were thinking, since you were a local Missouri boy, that maybe you get on the show and talk to us about ghost stories and stuff like
Heck
that.
yeah.
At some other point.
heck yeah. I'd
Really,
love to.
this episode is all about you. We want to talk about you and find out, everything about your book series and all that. But we'd love to have you on the show again.
Heck yeah, I'm down anytime.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome.
Yeah, because this whole Ragnarok series looks really cool. I love the mythology, Norse, all that. I like history anyway. And then I've been into horror since I was a little kid too. I mean, way back in the day. And then it's funny, zombies, you know, I love to this day Night of Living Dead.
Oh yeah, it's a classic.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And the first remake is my favorite.
Yeah.
My favorite. And I mean, it's kind of corny now, but
and it's weird because I'm really partial to the 68 version, the Romero, you know, the original. But I'll agree with you, man. The 1990 remake was really good. Really good.
I like the remakes and I like the originals. The remake where they first introduced the fast zombies.
Yeah.
You can ask my wife. That freaked me out. I was sitting on the couch watching with her, and I was used to all the old George Romero ones.
Yeah.
Where they just
Oh yeah,
walking
the
around.
shambling. Yeah.
And I was sitting on the couch next to her, and the fast ones showed up. I'm like, hey, they're not supposed to be fast. They're not supposed to be fast.
Ah, hell yeah.
It's not okay.
yeah, it's like 28 Days Later style.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, that
Well, and they
movie
did
too.
that in Dawn of the Dead too.
Yeah.
Is Dawn of the Dead where the fast ones first?
I think Dawn of the Dead is where the fast ones first showed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, the remake. Yeah. Dawn
Yeah.
of the Dead.
With Ving Rhames.
Yes. Great movie, by the way.
It was a great movie.
Good soundtrack too.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
When I heard them play "Down with the Sickness" as a lounge song,
Oh, that is actually from a guy.
Down with the sickness.
I don't know if you know or not, but there is a band called Richard Cheese.
I've heard of.
Okay, so they make lounge songs out of all these heavy metal songs.
Yeah.
And they're a
Devin-
kick ass.
Devin actually
Yeah.
showed me. She's got it all
Yeah.
on her playlist.
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's great.
I was
Come
listening to
on
them
and let's
YouTube one
get
day.
down with the sickness.
Yeah, it cracked me up.
Yeah, so you know, and maybe eventually, once all this other COVID crap and all this stuff is done, maybe we might be able to get you around down here to the studio.
Yeah, yeah. If you're ever traveling through, man,
But
Okay.
get a hold of us.
but yeah, getting back into the books here, we kind of jumped around from the. Did you want to talk a little bit more about your the Wolf Moon and stuff like that? Your Apex Predator series?
Absolutely. The Apex Predator series is centered around a group of Native American Hotometaneo. They're dog soldiers that go around hunting these creatures that are killing people. And thus far, all of them have been somewhere here in the Ozarks. 2 in Missouri, 1 in northern Arkansas. That's the first 3. The 4th book, I'm still plotting the 4th book, and it may take us out of the Ozarks. I haven't decided. I haven't picked a location yet. But I continued the theme even into my next series, the new series that I started, codename Wild Hunt. And it's about a military group, a military team that's put together to hunt cryptids, hunt monsters that are hunting
Sweet.
people.
Nice.
And the second book of that series, the first one's out. It's called Codename Wild Hunt, Odin's Call. All the hunting teams are named after hunting gods.
Odin,
And
another Norse
Norse
mythology.
reference.
Yeah.
All the Midwest teams are named after Norse hunting deities.
Yeah.
Team Odin is the primary team because he was the master of the wild hunt.
Right.
Team Odin that centers around that team as they hunt cryptids. But the first book of that series was still technically in the Ozarks. It was in the Ouachita Mountains of Oklahoma. The second one, I just went to the editors this week, so we'll see how much red line I get back. But it went to the editors this week, and I'm hoping we'll get good things back.
Nice.
And it actually takes place on the Upper Peninsula of Minnesota. So it took me out of the Ozarks a little ways, but it's still deep out in the woods.
Yeah.
And I've already started the sequel to Lakeview Man. It's called Lakeview Man First Duty. And it's centered around one of the main characters from the first Lakeview Man book. And it's going to be back down at the Kimberling City, Taneycomo, Table Rock Lake area.
Okay.
And I'm already about 15,000 words into that. So I tend to write fairly quickly because once I have it mapped out in my head, I just sit down and let it go.
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you about how long it takes for you to write a book.
Well, I've been laid up with a back injury since February. And in that time, I've completed 6 manuscripts because it's all
Holy cow.
That is
Dedication.
amazing.
Dedication.
That's amazing.
around 70,000 words. It keeps my mind fresh. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
if I was just sitting around and thinking, God dang it, when's the surgeon going to decide what the hell he's going to do?
Well, and what
I'd
else
be
are you going to do?
angry and
You're
not
laid
get
up.
anything
Yeah.
done. But if I can write, if I got my laptop handy, or I can sit here at this computer. This one's in my room, and if I can just sit down at that, I can
Go to
whatever
town. Yeah.
let it be cathartic. Let me get my frustrations out.
How much
Right.
scotch do you go through when you're writing these books?
I tend to save the scotch for when I complete the manuscript, kind of celebrate, because if I'm drinking the scotch while I'm writing, God knows what's going to come out.
Yeah.
It's gonna come out.
I'm going to get a lot of red back from the editor. I can tell you that.
Yeah.
I assume that's how you get glitter in your vampires.
Yeah.
I would think it would be a harsher chemical than that. Probably something mixed up underneath somebody's sink.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go way out on a limb here because I know because of your series, you're big into Norse mythology and stuff, and it's our favorite.
Yeah, I'm actually
time
wearing
of
a
the year.
Thor's hammer right now.
Nice. So it is our favorite time of the year. So you probably know a lot about the Festival of the Yule and Saturnalia and all of that stuff. I just think that's awesome, man.
The Norse is a very fascinating subject. I mean, when you start reading, and we've taken so much from it in our society. The Christmas tree was a Yule tree. Easter was Ostara. I mean, there's just so much that we in our modern society we've taken from the Norse we may not even realize.
Right.
In fact, one of the earliest accounts of a Bigfoot encounter was believed to be a Norse encounter in Vinland, in Canada, the settlement they had up there. Leif Erikson's account of that talks about what they described as Skraelings. And when they described the Skraelings, they described them as large, hairy men that attacked their encampment. Native Americans were neither hairy nor near as big as the Norse. The Norse were well over 6 feet tall. Your average Native American height was about 5'5" back then. Plus, they don't grow facial hair.
Yeah.
So for the Norse to describe them as huge and hairy.
Yeah. Well, have you heard of Gigantopithecus?
Oh yeah, Gigantopithecus was one of the prevailing theories. I also think it could very well be a relic population of Neanderthal, but Gigantopithecus definitely fits the mold. I think it leans more toward the skunk ape theory.
Yeah,
it's more ape-like because the Gigantopithecus would have looked more like a giant orangutan.
Mm-hmm.
However, the ones you see like in the Pacific Northwest look more like men. They don't move like an orangutan. They don't move like apes. They move upright.
Yeah.
But that could have simply been from a higher protein diet. I mean, the evolution of humankind was directly affected by the amount of protein we took in.
Oh yeah,
And when people started eating more meat, brain capacity increased. Physical stature got bigger.
Was it like over 20,000 years? It went from it like tripled in size. Is that what they said, or something like that?
Yeah.
Oh my God. I love this guy.
Protein in a diet. The increase of protein in a diet is a direct correlation to how humans have evolved. And if you took a primate, even a smaller primate, and started feeding it a high protein diet over the course of generations, it's going to get bigger and it's going to get smarter.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
sir, I love you. You are right up our alley. I mean,
just the right kind of crazy, huh?
Yeah, definitely. No. It's funny, as we've evolved the show, I tend to look at things in a more scientific way, versus what Ryan and Breezy and Brad look at it. So what you're talking about is right up my alley.
Well, a lot of people, especially like throwing right back to Bigfoot, a lot of people will associate, and even the Native Americans do to a certain extent, of a mystical quality to Bigfoot. About they think it may be an extra dimensional creature or it's got specific powers. And in modern Bigfoot research, they refer to that as the woo for some reason.
Yeah.
I lean toward what I can get as hard physical evidence because that's the cop in me. But I will never out and out dismiss the other possibilities. Just because we can't prove it hasn't happened, just because we've never seen it happen before, doesn't mean it can't.
There you go.
Right.
Until I see it, though, I'm going to rely on what I can see as hard evidence. But I will never, ever be the guy that says, no, that's bullshit. That's not true. Sorry, broke the barrier.
No. You're
good, man.
You're good, man.
I'm glad
absolutely good.
I'm glad you're the one that broke the barrier. Now I'm free.
Yeah, that was on me.
Well, fuck.
But
so I'm going to bring this up. We've talked about this several times. Well, all the time. Ryan and I talk about this all the time about Bigfoot possibly being an interdimensional being.
That's been bandied about by a lot of different people. I just watched a thing on the Yeti last night. And some of the Russian scientists they interviewed, that's what they believe, that it's an extra dimensional. The scientists believe that.
Right.
And so I will never say no. I won't say that
right.
that's impossible. There's even some theories that aliens brought them here and that they get picked up by alien ships. And those are, this is all fringe science.
Right.
This is,
right.
Every bit of it
and
is
we
fringe
live on
science.
the fringe every day.
I love it. I'm a little bit out there on the lunatic fringe sometimes.
Yeah.
But
I love it. I love it. So.
Anything to do with cryptids is fringe science. So there's nothing more mainstream than any other idea. They're all just theories until somebody proves it. So that's why I will never be dismissive of somebody saying it's extra dimensional or it's got telepathy. I will never dismiss that until it's proven otherwise.
See,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and we're not saying that that's what's. We've just had that conversation several times.
And it's
Because it's hard to
bandied about
explain.
everywhere.
Yeah.
I personally just lean toward the fact that it's a very intelligent, and if it is a primate, we'll say a very intelligent primate, and it has evolved over the generations, knowing that we're bad. We mean death.
Yeah.
So
And
why wouldn't it be very,
are.
very, very good at hiding from us?
Right. Well, and then the thing is if it's not an interdimensional being or whatever, they have to at least have the capacity to know to bury their dead.
Mm-hmm.
Because we haven't found any kind of skeletal remains or
I can tell you guys from experience, I've hunted these woods for years. I've never come across a dead bear. I rarely come across bones
that's
from
an
100%.
interesting concept.
I rarely come across bones from anything. Because once something dies in the woods, the scavengers come out of the woodwork, and in a couple of days, it's gone.
It's gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Especially around here, we got hogs. So, I mean, hogs
and
and
coyotes.
and methods.
Yeah, look at that pig over there. No.
But, actually, that's going to be, I want to kind of save those conversations for a later time. That way
Sure,
we can talk. We can talk to you about your.
Yeah, we
books and
need to get
stuff.
you on the show and just have a whole discussion about the.
But
Heck yeah, I'm down.
what's your personal favorite series you've done so far?
Well, I'd like to say all of them.
You should say all of them.
They were my favorite at the time. The Ragnarok books, I had put so much of myself into them. Back shortly after the first two books of the series were produced, I was assaulted during a call. A guy almost stomped my skull in, and you can see a shift in my writing there. I went through a pretty dark period, and it showed through in the writing for about 4 books. But that was a release for me, and I've had a couple of close calls over the years. My wife has got the phone call a few times, like, "Hey, Doug's in the ER. You might want to get up here." That's happened a few times, and now she, if I'm on duty, she dreads to hear the phone ring, especially if it's my phone.
Yeah.
But having said that, each series at the time was my favorite. I put a lot into the Ragnarok series at the time I was writing it, because there was a lot of myself I needed to put out to just get my head right again.
Yeah.
But once that series was done, I moved on to the Apex Predator series and started that series and fell in love with a whole new set of characters. And then as I started Lakeview Man, I intended Lakeview Man to be a one-off book. Lakeview Man was going to set the characters up to lead into Codename Wild Hunt.
It's funny because I was just looking at the cover of that book, and it's in part of your standalone stuff.
Mm-hmm. It was intended to be a standalone, but I got so much. I got so many requests from people through my website and through social media that the main character in Lakeview Man is a guy named Daniel Clark. Former soldier, became cop, ends up fighting these creatures. And at the end of the book, he gets recruited into this team. He gets recruited for the Codename Wild Hunt team.
Oh,
he
cool.
gets recruited into Team Odin, and he goes to that book. Well, people were like, "Hey, what about these other characters? What about specifically the character of Amanda Sanchez, who ends up marrying Clark? Amanda Sanchez, now Amanda Clark." He said, "What about her?" So I started looking at it, and I went back, and this new book, it's called Lakeview Man First Duty. Amanda becomes sheriff of that county, and it's about her dealing with another threat on her own. And I introduced a couple other characters because some of the other main characters didn't make it through Lakeview Man. But Lakeview Man, it evolved into a standalone series, and it wasn't something that I'd planned. I'd planned on leaving it at that and moving on with the character of Daniel Clark in Wild Hunt. And Wild Hunt's kind of taking on a life of its own. I just finished the second one. It's at the editors. It's called Codename Wild Hunt: Legend of the Windigo. and that's the one that takes place up in the Upper Peninsula of Minnesota. And it's like I said, it's at the editors now. My cover artist is already working on the cover, so I'm hoping to have release information coming very soon. But I've already got plans for the next books in those series as well. So I've got Apex 4 to do. I've got Codename Wild Hunt 3 to do. I've got Lakeview 2 is already in the process, about 15,000 words in.
Jeez.
Wow.
I've got 3 series running at the same time and never planned that.
Holy cow. How do you keep that straight in your head?
What I do is I have a notebook that I set down, and when I create characters for these books, I create a mini bio for them. I could tell you where they were born, what their birth date is, what their favorite food is, where they went to high school, if they played football. I just create these mini bios, and when I need to know a detail about these characters, it's so easy to know who they are, how they think, because I know, oh, this guy played football for 2A school here.
Yeah. Or if they get their Letterman's jacket shredded while they're being disemboweled. Yeah. Dude, I got to tell you, I read through the first 3 chapters of the Wolf Moon book, and I am addicted. I need to get the rest of that series.
Awesome.
The way you write, you're so descriptive and so easy to read. And I don't mean that as a disrespect or anything. It's just, it's very easy to get engrossed into the story. See, that's the best compliment a writer can hope for. You want the reader to feel like they're part of the story, right?
And that's all I've ever really wanted to accomplish. That's the way I grew up reading books. I would feel like I was watching a movie in my head. I'd be so engrossed in that, and that's what I want my writers to experience. I want them to become attached to these characters.
Yeah, and that's the thing with me is I don't read a lot of books, but sometimes I'll read books from certain authors. And it's like, okay, I'll read a little bit, and then I got to put it down for a while, because I just, my brain gets fogged or whatever. But as I was reading through your book, I got through those 3 chapters, and I'm like, oh, my God, I got to buy this book. And I got to see how it ends,
Well, in the Ragnarok Rising saga, there's a bunch of different characters, and some of them were very popular with people, and a lot of the characters die because it's a zombie survival situation. People die. If everybody walked through, 9 feet tall and bulletproof, it's really, you don't get an emotional investment. So the characters are very mortal. I did a show in Kansas City 4 years ago. It had George R.R. Martin at the show. He was a name and I was a footnote, but I was there at the show with George Martin.
Right.
I got pictures on my Facebook page with me.
Nice.
But had a guy drove from Oklahoma City to Kansas City when he found out I was going to be there just to argue with me about killing one of those characters.
Hey, you're not doing it right unless you get one freaking stalker in there.
Yeah, he showed up in Kansas City. Super nice guy. Ended up buying the books and bought a T-shirt and was fun to talk to, but he was really upset when he got there.
Yeah, well, that's good though. That means you got him emotionally invested in the book. So, I
won't tell you which character. So hopefully you'll find that same enjoyment with that character.
Oh yeah, I don't want to know that. I start looking at him and I am engrossed already. I haven't even started reading, and we're getting into those Ragnarok books because I love zombie stuff. I mean, I love all horror and I love like all cryptids and things like that. But growing up, zombies started off, with zombies and things like that, and I was big into that. So, and then you're kind of adding, it's funny. I'm not a good writer at all whatsoever. So,
yeah, we all know that.
But I have ideas in my head and, I would like to be able to put them down, but it's kind of crazy when you meet someone who, does it for you.
Yeah.
So you have the same ideas that I have in my head, but you can write. So it adds that for me. So I got to ask you, have you talked anything about probably movies possibly or anything like that?
I would absolutely love to. If I they're talking, what they're talking about doing is putting a stimulator in my spine to soften the nerves so I could go back to duty. But to be honest, I would be perfectly happy if I just ended up being a full-time writer. I've loved being an officer. Don't get me wrong. It's in my blood. Part of me will always be that, but writing's my passion. That's what I've always loved to do.
Yeah.
I wanted to be a writer since I was old enough to know what I wanted to be. And that's where my heart will always lie. So if I could get into movies and stuff like that, where I'm making the kind of living that I could make comfortable living, I'd be completely content. So yeah. Absolutely.
Awesome. because I just might know some people who might be able to help. All I'm
That would
saying
be
is
fantastic.
that, well, because, I hate,
You set the meeting up, and I'll come to Rolla.
that's what I'm saying. I got I can't, it's hard for me to follow books and read just because of the way my mind works, but movies, I love watching movies.
Absolutely.
And this book series, especially the Ragnarok one, sounds like a great freaking film. It sounds like something to be great on film.
Now, would you want to actually put your books in a series type situation or a movie altogether?
I think Ragnarok would lend itself more to a series because I didn't throw the word saga in there by mistake. It's Ragnarok Rising Saga. Much like J.R.R. Tolkien, I didn't want to set out and write a series of 10 books that were just 10 books. If you start at book 1 and go all the way to book 10, it is one big story from beginning to end. Now, you can read any of the individual books and get the story. They're all completely contained stories. However, when you look at it from page 1 of chapter 1 of the first book all the way to the last page, it is the evolution of those characters to that last minute. Yeah. Everything that's happened up to that point took him to that point right then and there.
Awesome. Yeah, see, when I see things like this, and I often see it in some books and things, I'm like, man, that would be a great movie.
Oh, yeah.
And I love movies, so now that I'm kind of in the world that I'm in, I can kind of help people, hopefully, and I can try and work something out.
We can do a Horror Chronicles D.A. Roberts movie collaboration.
there we go.
But no, but seriously, I just like to. I don't know. We'll see. But that's just something.
I think there's a lot to the Ragnarok series that would attract viewers. I've had people describe it, and I saw this on actually a review on a website that described the Ragnarok Rising saga as The Walking Dead meets Game of Thrones. Because as the series evolves and they're running out of ammo, they're having to rely on more conventional weapons.
Right.
So toward the end of the book, they're using a lot more swords than they are guns.
Sweet. Yeah, see it. And that, you mentioned it since I'm going to talk about it for a minute there. Like The Walking Dead, I was so deeply ingrained in that show for a while.
Yeah, for at least the first 2 seasons.
Well, for me, I
quit watching that series when it became Days of Our Walking Dead.
Yeah.
Zombie soap opera.
Agreed.
Yeah, see, I actually watched it up till about I didn't watch the last 2 seasons. I was caught up to it to the end, but the reason why I liked it, so much was in the beginning was because it told the story of what would happen if there was a situation like that. Mm-hmm. Eventually, you would have to worry about the initial, whatever it is, zombies, whatever. But then eventually you're going to have to work your way to worrying about who's left, because then only strong survive. So the people who are left are strong and they're dangerous. So, yeah. So, that, and I like the way that they, decayed over time and things like that. So, but I just think that this sounds like the Ragnarok sounds like it really be a great.
The Ragnarok books start out with the first appearance of the zombies. They're seeing it on the news. They don't know what it is, but it's getting closer. So the first 3 books, the first 4 books deal with the first couple of days, with just everything that's happening over the first few days of the outbreak.
Sweet.
But as the series progresses, it switches from immediate survival mode to long-term survival mode.
Yeah.
And you'll see the definitive switch where they're starting to look at, not just surviving to the end of the day, but surviving to the end of the year. We've got winter coming. How are we going to feed everybody? They're gathering survivors. They're looking for supplies. They're already realizing ammunition's getting low. What are we going to do when this is gone?
Yeah.
They're planning. And it's more of a thinker's version of the zombie apocalypse, as they're actually plotting out how they're going to survive, not just running from fight scene to fight scene.
Gotcha.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. I mean, I'm a super stoked about that. I can't wait to get into that.
Well, I'll tell you what. So you guys get some more familiarity before this is over. Before we're done for the night, make sure I get someone's email address, and I'll send you guys promo PDFs of all of them.
Sweet.
Perfect.
That way you guys can read them and be more familiar with them for the next show.
Well, we're definitely going to be in contact.
We'll send you over the Horror Chronicles email, and You can send them there. We all have access to that. And
Okay, I'll throw in the Apex Predator books. I'll just put them on promo so you guys can. All I ask is just don't share them.
oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
Just promotional PDF copies, so that way you guys can read them and you can show.
That'd be awesome.
If you've got,
awesome.
Like you said, you knew some guys that are interested in film, you'd have something to show them as well.
Exactly.
And I love the aspect of your knowledge behind all of this stuff. You're not just writing books to write books. You actually know what the hell you're writing.
Well, one of the things about the series is that I've introduced is when I talk about the guns or the tactics they're using, it's because I've done this stuff.
Right.
These are weapons I'm familiar with. I was the point man on the riot team for 3.5 years.
Wow.
I've gone in with hats and bats and riot shields. I've done that, and I'm getting a little old for that now, but it was a lot of fun. I mean, I could tell you some stories.
That was really cool. Whenever I was reading through that first Wolf Moon book, I could really, I don't know, I could really feel like, okay, this has got to be somebody that knows what they're talking about, because you're talking about things that normal people wouldn't know about. Like how detectives deduce clues and different things, and how cops actually talk to people. And I think that's what really impressed me about that.
Well, you see a lot of what you don't see on shows like Cops or Live PD. What you don't see on shows like that is when it's just cops, we have got some of the rudest senses of humor with each other.
Nice.
We're constantly zinging each other, and I tell you, I've never been flipped off more than I
saw
have
a lot
been
of
in my
that
life.
reading through there.
You say something in briefing, and 7 people are flipping you off. I mean,
right?
It's just our humor.
Oh my God, I can't wait to get this guy in the studio, dude. Jesus.
But and that's another thing too, you having that experience. And you can tell that if someone's really enjoys what they're doing and they know about what they're talking about. Same thing like with this podcast. We
love what we do.
love what we're doing, and it shows in what we do. And
I understand that. I see that completely, because I've done quite a few interviews over the years, and it's rare that I do an interview where I'm this relaxed this early. Usually I'm like, what do you want to know? But,
no, we're cool as shit,
just,
dude. You can talk about whatever you want.
Being able to just kind of feel like I'm hanging out is the best kind of
hell yeah, and that's what we wanted.
See, and to be honest with you, like I take this podcast seriously, but also we joke all the time.
Yeah.
And so I try to catch myself not
all right,
trying
mister,
to
what
be.
the hell's in that cup?
This coffee.
Oh, damn
so
it.
I try to
Black
catch
Rifle
myself.
coffee, actually.
Oh yeah, hell yeah.
Sweet.
Fucking it. Matt
stuff.
Best is awesome, dude. That guy.
Yeah, those guys are great.
But I try not to take myself too seriously anymore. However, whenever
we don't take him seriously.
Whenever we're
either.
whenever we're talking to someone and I'm trying to promote them, I want to get as much promotional video out of it as I can.
Yeah.
Which is why like I've kind of been steering close to the books, because I want to get you on the show, on different shows, because you're into multiple things that we're into.
Yes.
So this time I just want to kind of get into your books and things. That way people can see it and promote it out.
You could easily sit down in a show with us and talk about what all the stuff that we talk about.
Oh, I'd love to. And
and we will work that in.
I would love to do that.
I just I got to catch myself more. I try to take things seriously at first, but honestly, we joke around so much. If you've listened to our podcast, you clearly know.
Yeah.
But so next time we get you on here for sure, it'll probably be a little more laid back.
Yes.
Yeah.
And more getting in deep into what you actually think about certain things and
For sure.
stuff like that. Sure. So. But I don't know how far we are even in time wise.
Yeah,
I've been paying attention.
Me either.
It doesn't matter.
But I'm like, I don't even. That's the best part about it though.
Yeah.
Is when you're having a conversation, and next thing you know, it's like, oh shoot.
Yeah, it's really weird. The Zoom thing is new to us.
Yes.
We've only done this one other time.
Yeah.
We've been trying. We've been begging people to get on the show with us. but it's very hard. So whenever you reached out to us, it was like, oh my God, yeah, hell yeah, let's do
like
it.
I like the Zoom thing because I can put up my green screen,
absolutely,
put up whatever image I want in the background,
and that works great for us.
Yeah, this is not a green screen.
But yeah,
well, I gathered that when I saw Jason Voorhees with the
yes,
I love that.
Jason's actually holding our blacklight for us.
Yeah,
That's cool.
it's behind the machete.
Yeah,
so you
yeah,
can't
it
see
works pretty cool.
That's
No,
awesome.
I got this banner off of tpublic.com. They were running a sale on them, and they were only like $38.
That's
and I'm
not
like,
bad.
well, shit, I'm going to order one.
I'd like to get
just
that printed as a banner. That would be great.
There you go.
Man, if you get on tpublic.com, all you got to do is upload your image. They'll make anything you want.
Awesome.
Pretty cheap.
And it's rather cheap. But yeah, I bought that banner for $38.
That's
Yeah,
not bad
And
at
it's
all.
like 64 by 80.
Nice.
It was super cheap, and it's really well made. They said it was a tapestry, but it's like 2-layer thick. I mean, it's like a bed sheet.
Yeah, they're pretty cool, man. But yeah, getting back to the book thing, I kind of want to.
Come on, I want to talk about TeePublic.
We can do all that stuff. We can do all that stuff later. Next time, I promise you. Next
Trying
time
to get that product placement.
Yeah, well,
But next time you come on, it'll be a lot funner. I mean, we're having fun now, but we won't be so
a lot
oriented
funner,
on certain things.
a lot more fun.
From
That's the one thing about being a hillbilly from the Ozarks. We speak gooder.
That's right. That's right.
Absolutely.
He's
Absolutely.
picking up.
Dog's trying to horn in. Harley, go.
Oh yeah, let him in. Let him
But he's going to knock the green screen over.
in. Nice.
He almost did.
That's one thing we haven't done as a green screen.
Yeah,
It works really well.
We could have fun with that.
We could probably pull that off.
I'll wear green.
We'd
all
end
the
up
time.
with some like Pornhub shit on there or something.
Yeah, you don't want to let me near a green
You're like,
screen.
oops, wait a minute. You're not supposed to see that.
Oh,
Or just have the T-Rex from Jurassic Park behind you.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
yeah,
That's
it's
a good
are
idea.
they not
Good
reacting?
idea. But yeah, definitely, DA. I got to read some more of your books, man. I am just hooked, dude. Hooked.
I'll get you guys some PDFs tonight.
I got to
That'd
learn.
be awesome,
I really
dude.
got to learn to
Awesome.
read.
Yeah, just send them over to Horror Chronicles Podcast at gmail.com.
Okay. I'll write that down before we're
We
done.
can send. We can send you. We can. Send,
Yeah, we'll
you've got
send
my
you a
email.
link.
yeah,
we'll
just
send you a link.
We'll just send you.
Well,
a
I've got
Man,
your
we
email
got to
right here.
get you on the show again and just have a good time, dude.
Absolutely.
Just cut loose. Not put you on the spot like we're doing tonight.
That's fine. I'm
Put
good
you
with
on a spot talking about, you ever seen any ghosts?
Yeah. Well, I will tell you, we delve deep into things. Like
Yeah.
we'll start talking about something, and the next thing you know, I'm ending the show on DMT and what it
Yeah.
means, and like people talking to aliens and elves, the clockwork elves, and things like that. But no,
I'm good.
Oh, hey.
I'll go right along with it.
We need to ask you, though, what's your favorite horror movie?
Oh, you're just one?
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. It's hard.
That's the
We
question.
know.
That's the question we ask everybody, and that's
It's hard.
it's hard to do.
It's hard.
Yeah, hard to nail just one down. Oh my God.
Okay, here. How about this one? How about what originated your love for it?
That would be the original Night Stalker series with Darren McGavin.
Gotcha.
That's what started me. In
That
fact,
is such a great series.
yeah. If I had to nail an
I'm
episode
old.
down in particular, oh yeah, me too. I'm 50.
I'm old. I just turned 49. And these two are a lot younger than me, so
Three.
they don't know the privies of 70s horror.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
I
if you
grew
guys
up
haven't
in the
watched-
70s. I watched
Same.
a lot of that stuff. Night Stalker was one of my favorite series.
Oh, absolutely. That was every Friday night for me.
Yes.
Well,
See-
they played the reruns. But if you haven't seen that series, you should really check it out.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It's not. We're looking at 1974 level special effects. There's nothing fantastic about the special effects, but what holds
No,
up
but it was great story though.
Yeah, the writing is what holds up. The writing
Yeah.
holds
Yes.
up well today.
Yes.
Well,
if
see-
you took any one of those episodes, script for script, the way it was written back then, and shot it today with modern special effects, you would blow people's minds
Oh,
because
yeah.
they didn't rely on J.J. Abrams lens flares or
Right,
anybody
right,
else with all the explosions or girls in bikinis running in slow motion.
Now, there's nothing wrong with that.
Oh,
I'm not saying there is.
some of the greats was like the zombie episode.
Oh yeah,
the vampire episode.
My favorite
Yeah,
is the Spanish Moss Murders.
Yeah,
It talks about Parmalfe, the Spanish Moss monster.
right.
Well, one of my
that
favorite
stuck with me.
One of my favorite movies, horror movies, period, and the one that got me started on horror to begin with came out in the 70s, and that's Phantasm.
Oh, that's a great movie.
That's
absolutely.
That whole series is great, and that's what got me into it. My mom loved that movie. She let me watch it, and then I went from Phantasm straight to Night of the Demons when I was like I don't know, 5, 6, I don't know, but then I was just hooked ever since. But
for me, it was a big classic, and well, you can't see it. The posters behind me, the House on Haunted Hill.
Oh, great movie.
Vincent Price,
Vincent Price was the best.
Amazing.
If I could get anybody from history to narrate,
it'd
be Vincent Price.
But
a lot of people
best.
talk about if you could sit on a bench with anybody alive or dead and talk to them for an hour, who would it be?
Jeffrey.
And for me,
Somebody alive.
Vincent Price. Vincent Price. I would love to talk to that guy.
Vincent Price or H.P. Lovecraft.
Yes.
Lovecraft would be a very, very weird conversation, though.
It would be.
But yeah, I mean, and that's something I think we should save for the next time, because they're definitely going to get you back on the show. We just want to get you on here tonight, introduce you to our people, and let them get introduced to your books, and hopefully start buying some of your books and things like that.
For
and then,
sure. You can find all of his stuff on Amazon.com.
Actually, let's let him go ahead and give a shout out to all your socials. Where you can find your stuff.
Do a promo here.
Okay. You can find all of my books, as you were saying. They're available currently in print and in Kindle edition on Amazon.com, where you can find everything else. Everything also directly linked through my website, which is www.daroberts.net. You can find me on Facebook at D.A. Roberts Author. I'm on Twitter as D.A. Roberts Author, and on I was confused. Instagram. I was confused Instagram and Snapchat. I don't have Snapchat, but I always want to call it Snapchat for some stupid reason.
Snapchat, you see a lot of porn on, but
my wife would kill me, so no.
Yeah.
On Snapchat.
But awesome, man! I got to tell you what, it's great talking to you.
Definitely.
I don't get excited about books, but I'm pretty excited about the Ragnarok books. I'm gonna tell you.
That's awesome. I can't wait to hear what you think. I'll get you some PDFs tonight. Get you started.
That'll be awesome,
man.
dude.
I'm excited about that. So we are definitely going to be in touch with you. Definitely going to get you back on the show. I think you did awesome. And who knows? We might be able to get you in the studio one of these days.
Yeah, for sure.
I would definitely love it.
Can we get you to do us a favor?
Sure.
Just say thanks for watching the Horror Chronicles podcast, and keep it creepy.
Absolutely. Thank you all for watching the Horror Chronicles podcast, and keep it creepy.
Perfect. Awesome.
Hey, thanks, man. Great show. Great interview, and we will be in touch with you, brother.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
You guys know how to get hold of me.
Thank you so much, man.
No problem. Y'all have a great night.
You too, man. See ya.
See ya.
These measures are chosen.